What would you say if I told you someone took Terminator 1 and 2's world settings, you know, the best two movies in the franchise, and created an original story for a Terminator video game? I know what you're thinking. Not another big movie license game. They've always turned out nothing like the movies they're based on, and just end up nothing more than a cheap cash grab, right? Well, guess what, guys? They've gone and got it right this time. Welcome to the channel, everyone, and welcome to my review of Terminator Resistance.
No! No!
Released in 2019, Terminator Resistance is a first-person shooter survival game. Up to this point, we hadn't had a full console-released Terminator game since Terminator Salvation way back in 2009, which was 16 years ago now. With so much time passed, it really did feel like a new Terminator game would never be made again. That was until a small indie Polish studio named Teon got the green light to make a new game based on the movie franchise. They're also the same studio who gave us the brilliant RoboCop Rogue City game, which you should definitely play, as it's awesome. Anyway, back to Terminator Resistance. We play Resistance fighter Jacob Rivers, who is just one of many fighting the future war under the leadership of the great man himself, John Connor, against Skynet's machines. We learn Private Rivers' division has been wiped off the face of the earth, and he is the only survivor. The only thing he can do is to keep moving through an apocalyptic Los Angeles, which is now full of Terminators. Jacob would eventually meet a group of survivors that agree to help him uncover Skynet's plans for a secret way to end this war against mankind. In return, Jacob agrees to try to lead them to safety. Jacob does go on to discover what Skynet are planning, when a hooded masked man known only as the Stranger tells him Skynet are developing a time machine called the Displacement, and he must stop them before Terminators are sent back to the past to kill John and Sarah Connor, which would mean the future war was all for nothing. On top of all this, Jacob is told a new Terminator disguised by flesh and blood, known as the Infiltrator, has marked him down for termination. So off we go to find John Connor and his division, to gear up for the final assault on Skynet and destroy their displacement time machines. So that's the basic plot. I really like the fact we play a Resistance fighter instead of one of the main cast, you know, like John or Sarah, as it's refreshing to have a story play out that's familiar yet new. At first glance, Terminator Resistance may look like just another run-of-the-mill first-person shooter, but it couldn't be any more further from the truth. Let me explain. So for the first half of the game, you'll be doing more stealthing than shooting. You do start out with weapons, which are a handgun and lead pipe, but these are useless against the T-800s and Scout Terminators, so you'll need to plan your route out and sneak around them. The second half of the game is where you'll be able to fight back, as by this point you'll have access to plasma guns, the same weapons the Terminators use, and the only guns that will destroy them. You will find more human guns, like handguns, a shotgun, an assault rifle, and an Uzi 9mm. These will have an effect on smaller Terminators, but only plasmas will save you from the T-800s and the bigger machines you encounter. Scavenging for supplies is also an essential part of the gameplay. There's a crafting system here, where you're able to make healing items and ammo, and lots more useful stuff. As mentioned, supplies can be found in the apocalyptic world, but crafting is a must to survive. Scrap materials can be found, and that's what you use to craft supplies. Along with the crafting system, we also have an upgrade system. There's a lot of categories to mess around with, but you'll need to be a certain skill level to use them. Skill points are obtained by leveling up an XP bar. Sometimes skill points are out in the wild for you to find. but most of them are obtained by doing extra quests for survivors you'll talk to, or killing Terminators and destroying Skynet equipment in the wild. That brings me to how Terminator Resistance world is structured. This is surprisingly not a linear game for the most part, but instead, most chapters have a semi-open world. You'll have multiple waypoints, in which they are locations of the main objectives and extra quests if you wish to do them. There's even a map, so you can explore the area and plan your route to the objectives. I really like the freedom the game gives you for the most part. I mean, of course you'll always have to complete the main objectives, but it's up to you if you risk exploring for supplies or go straight to the objective. A lot of things will be locked that you come across, like locked doors that would need lockpicks for, and containers and equipment, vehicles, and there's even security doors, turrets and ammo depots you'll need hacking skills to open, which is one of your upgrades. The hacking system is actually a mini game and is basically Frogger. I really like this. It starts off easy, but the more you try to hack more difficult stuff, obviously it gets faster paced. So yeah, really cool. Sometimes buildings are found where you have multiple ways to enter them, like this one. You can either pick the door lock to get in, or there's a way by climbing these planks and over the cars into the top of the building. And finally, you can blow up this wall with a pipe bomb, which naturally, I went with this option. Most of the main missions are collecting intel on Skynet, finding survivors, collecting key items to progress the story, and eventually fighting the Terminators for mankind's last stand. I especially like this one, where you sneak around a hospital that Skynet have taken to experiment on humans. It has a very creepy atmosphere. Your goal is to free prisoners and get supplies. It's a real highlight. There's a nice bit of fanfare too, with the T-1000 actor from the T2 movie, Robert Patrick. He's found dead in an operating theatre chair. Very cool.
He's from the Resistance. The others have to be here too.
Characters you meet in the game play a big role in Terminator Resistance story. Talking to them will open up side quests, which are mainly personal missions that particular survivors want, and the other conversations you have are to move the game forward. You have multiple choices on your responses to people, and it's not just a gimmick, your choices really do matter. You see, there's a good and bad ending when finishing the game. The way it works is, each answer you give either builds trust or distrust with all the characters you meet. Get enough trust and you'll get the good ending, and the bad if you don't. The survivors are interesting enough for the most part, but I have to say, some of the dialogue here isn't great and can go on for too long. I guess the devs tried to flesh the characters out, but it didn't really work. Thankfully, they did better with the character dialogue in RoboCop Rogue City. They learned from it here at least. Now, something that absolutely had to be done right for me here was the look, sound and overall feel of the game. And man did Teon deliver on all of it. The world really does look like the flashback scenes from Terminator 1 and 2, where you see glimpses of the future war from the Resistance point of view. All the weapons you use sound like they've been sampled from those two movies. From the Remington shotgun to the plasmas. They sound great. And the icing on the cake, the T-800s look exactly right, patrolling around with that cold steel strength, and programmed to kill look in their dead red eyes. They're truly creepy here, making you fear them, and want to avoid them at all costs, in the beginning anyway. Just how it should be. Now unfortunately I can't show you any music samples like I normally do, because of fear of copyright strikes. Licensed game. But anyway, the soundtracks here are great, with original and mixed from the first two movies. So yeah, great stuff. The graphics are impressive, considering this is an indie B-level game developer that made Resistance. The budget must have been a lot smaller than say a AAA dev would have. So great job, and there's a lot of attention to detail Teon really have shown what can be done if you are a true fan of the franchise you're creating your game for. An enhanced edition was later added to next-gen consoles as a free update, giving PS5 and Xbox Series X a graphical improvement to enjoy. As well as this, a DLC was put out called Infiltrator Mode. It's really cool. You play as a Terminator. Your mission? Take out key Resistance fighter bases and terminate everyone. It can be beat in around 45 minutes, and you can't save, so you've got to do this in one sitting, but it's a really good bit of content to have alongside the main game. Okay, time for my final thoughts. I know I haven't really said anything negative about the game, but honestly, that's because I haven't really got anything to tell you. Terminator Resistance is the first game based on the franchise, other than the arcade brilliant Terminator 2D No Fate, that got it right, and I just can't say enough good things about this game. So if you're a fan of the first two movies like I am, then this is a must play. I really hope Teon get an opportunity to make a sequel to this great game. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all on the next one.
Commander?
Commander.